Hey guys, it's Xander here, and we're back looking at brews in Modern. This is a deck I put together after M19's Scapeshift, the reprint, come out. It kind of got the gears going on my brewing, and I tried to do a bit of stuff in Standard with it, but couldn't really find anything that I really got attached to. But then I started fooling around in Modern, and this is what I've come up with. So this is a Scapeshift-based mill deck, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's surprisingly competitive. It's won me a whole lot of games. It's not going to win every game. It's a mill deck. It's a kind of alternate win con. I prefer those, like a janky kind of win con. I've always been a big fan of mill. But yeah, this deck's a whole lot of fun when it works, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. So I'm just going to go over the cards in the main deck, the cards in the sideboard, and talk about the interactions as we go. And hopefully you guys enjoy the deck. So we're going to start off the lineup with a 4 of Hedron Crab, which is for 1 blue, a 0/2 crab with landfall. And its landfall ability is whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Yeah, it's awesome. Pretty good. Scapeshift in a 4 of. So this is for 2 and 2 green. Sacrifice any number of lands, search your library for up to that many land cards, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. So immediately you can see the synergy between a Scapeshift and Hedron Crab. So you say you've got enough to play Scapeshift. It's only 4. You play the Scapeshift. You've already got a Hedron out. You sacrifice 4 lands. You search for 4 lands. You mill them for 12. Yeah, that's the starting interaction, and I'll go over the stuff when it starts getting stupid in a second. But yeah, I'll keep talking about the deck. Running a 3 of Snapcaster Mage because Snap Bolt is a thing, and people love doing that, but we're doing Snap Mill. So we're going to snap. Snapcasters for 2, 1 and 1 blue, 2/1. It's Human Wizard with Flash, so you can play it at any time. When Snapcaster Mage enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn, with the flashback cost being equal to its mana cost. So it allows we've got some counter spells, and we've got some mill cards that it enables us to do at a flashback, so we can play them from our grave. Playing a 3 of Farseek, which is for 2, 1 and 1 green. Sorcery speed, you search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card, and put that onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. It's just in there as a kind of catch-all to fetch the lands we need, and yeah, a little bit of ramp. You could probably swap it out for something else, but it's working good so far. Fraying Sanity in a 2 of. This is a really cool one that comes from Hour of Devastation. It's an enchantment or a curse for 3, so 2 and 1 blue. It's enchant player, and at the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of cards that was put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn. So it's good. It attaches to a player, and then it doesn't matter if it's something they're putting in their graveyard or something we're making them put in their graveyard. It's anytime a card goes in the graveyard in any of the turns, they're going to put that many more cards into the graveyard at the end step of the turn. So they could be bolting us, countering stuff dying in combat and going to the grave. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything goes to the graveyard, they get an extra mill. So it's only running into 2 of. It's not something you want to see too much because we kind of just want to mill out. But this is an awesome enabler for a couple of things, and it just helps us with the clock when we draw it. So it's really good. Running a silver bullet copy of Search for Azcanta, which is for 2, 1 and 1 blue. It's a legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. Then, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you transform Search for Azcanta. And then it flips to Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, which is a legendary land with tap add blue, or for 3, so 2 and 1 blue. Tap, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order. So this is essentially, it turns into a draw card and a land. So it's a little bit of ramp. It's a wicked card. Don't want to be seeing too many of it, so I'm only running a 1 of. But yeah, it works well so far. So touching quickly on the me saying we're trying to snap mill. It's Snapcaster is pretty well directly targeting Glimpse the Unthinkable, which is the next card I'll talk about. So So Glimpse is for 2, one blue and 1 black. It's target player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. So this allows us to go, we can go Snapcaster, so mill them for 10, and then say we've got 4 land, we can snap, mill them for 10 again. If we've got a Fraying Sanity out, we're milling them for 10 every time we do it, and it just gets ridiculous, and yeah, it's surprisingly fun. Running a 3 of Ensnaring Bridge, because we're not running too many creatures, but we don't want to be getting dominated by creatures hitting us. And because a lot of the times we're trying to play our mill out, so our hand count's usually down pretty low, and it's not hard for us to have a 1 or 0 cards in our hand. So Ensnaring Bridge is for 3. It's an artifact that sits on the battlefield, which reads, creatures with power greater than the number of cards in your hand can't attack. So if we've got 1 card in our hand, anything with 2 power or more can't attack us. If we have no cards in our hand, nothing can attack us. It's an awesome card. It's in a shitload of decks. It dominates in Lantern. It's in a couple of different prison decks, and a lot of people hate it. Heaps of people want to see it banned. Of course, we're going to play it in this deck. Also running a 3 of Altar of the Brood, which is for 1. It's an artifact with whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Now, permanence is anything that stays on the battlefield. So if we play a creature, if we play an enchantment, if we play an artifact, if we play a land, it's going to mill them. So it's just a little bit of extra mill, but it's the big thing is it's synergizing with the amount of lands that are coming in from Scapeshifts and more mill from Hedron and Fraying Sanity, it's triggering off, and yeah, it's just a great card. Doesn't see a whole lot of play in a lot of stuff, but it's definitely going to see at least the 3 of slot in this. Moving on to Amulet of Vigor, which is for 1. So you'll see this in there's another Scapeshift deck that Amulet Titan is Amulet of Vigor, which is for 1 colorless. It's an artifact that sits on the battlefield, and it reads, whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped and under your control, untap it. So that means that after we Scapeshift, the lands that would normally come in tapped are untapped after we Scapeshift. So if we've got a Vigor out, and then we Scapeshift, we search for the lands, they come in untapped, and then we can do more stuff. That's where this deck starts abusing a couple other things. I'll just go over in a second. We're just going to talk about the last couple of cards, and then I'll talk about it. Remand, which is just a catch-all, counter spell, return it to their hand, and you draw a card for 2, so it's 1 and 1 blue at instant speed. And 2 Archive Trap, because fetches are a thing that exist, and playing this thing for 0 on turn 1 is awesome. Mill the top 13 cards, you're already starting off to a fantastic start with a mill deck. So normally it's for 3 and 2 blue. At instant speed, it's a trap. If an opponent searched his or her library this turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay Archive Trap's mana cost. And its target opponent puts the top 13 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Wicked card. Running in a 2 of. Touching on the lands. So I'll just start with the fact that we're running fetches in Misty Rainforest and Polluted Delta, both in 4 of, so there's 8 fetches in the deck. So how the deck works when we get all the pieces together as it's kind of a combo kill in mill is if we've got a Hedron Crab out, an Amulet Titan, say an Altar of the Brood, and then we Scapeshift for like sacrifice 6 lands, 7 lands, whatever. We just hold them off long enough for us to do the Scapeshift plan. Even if it's just Scapeshifting for 4 lands, we play Scapeshift, we sacrifice 4 lands, we search for 4 fetches, so they come in, we mill for 4 off Altar of the Brood, we mill for 12 off Hedron Crab, and then we sacrifice the fetches because they've come in untapped after the Vigor. We sacrifice the fetches and search again for lands. Again coming in untapped. And milling again for 12 plus 4. And that's, what, 24, 28, nearly 30 cards deep into the deck, just playing 1 Scapeshift on turn 4. That's if you haven't already Snapcasted on turn, Glimpsed the Unthinkable on turn 2. Turn 3, played a Fraying Sanity. If you've done that, they're dead. It's, yeah. This deck can get a turn 4 kill, and it's crazy for a mill deck. So, love it. It's a whole lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy the deck, because I know I sure do. Touching on the lands again, we're running a 4 of Misty Rainforest, which is tap, sack. So, tap, pay 1 life, search for a mountain, for a forest or an island. We're running a 4 of Polluted Delta, which searches for an island or a swamp. We're playing a 4 of Breeding Pool, which is a forest or an island. It comes in, enters the battlefield tapped unless you pay 2 life, but if we've got Amulet Vigor, we just don't care. And then if you don't pay 2 life, it comes in tapped. We're also playing the blue-black equivalent of that in the Water Grave. In a 3 of 2 forests, 2 islands, 2 fetid pools, just as another duo that we can search for, but it's also a little bit of cycling if we need it. So Island Swamp comes in tapped. Tap for either, or cycle for 2. Also playing a 2 of Nephalia Drownyard, which is just a land with tap, add 1 colorless, or you can pay 3, so 1 a blue and a black, to tap it, and target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. Now, if you're getting locked out of the game, or your Hedron Crabs aren't around, or they're whatever, like they kill them into bolts, or they try to slow us down, we can still Scapeshift and search for these as a useful land that's going to continue to mill, and it's just, yeah, it can help us grind out a game, which is really good. So we're running them in a 2 of. I'm also running a 2 of Field of Ruin, which again, if Hedron's out, I play a Field of Ruin, I tap sack, I kill one of their non-basics, kill it, search for another land, get another trigger off Hedron, and yeah, it's a little bit of synergy. I rather play this than Ghost Quarter, because then I'm not losing out on the land. So it's tap, add 1 colorless, or for 2, tap, sack it, destroy target non-basic land and opponent controls, and each player searches for a basic and puts it onto the battlefield tapped. Puts it on the battlefield, then shuffles it to her library. So it even comes in untapped, which is great. Talking about the sideboard. Now, this was a pain in the ass to put together, because I'm trying to cover so many different things at the same time. So, for the Enchantment Hate, we're running a 2 of Back to Nature. So this is against your Boggles matchups, which is just for 1 and 1 green, at instant speed, destroy all enchantments. It's good. Abrupt Decay, which is for 2. It's a green and a black. Abrupt Decay can't be countered by spells or abilities. You destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. This kills a whole shitload of stuff. It's great removal. And we're running a 2 of. Echoing Truth. This is for token matchups, and also anything that likes running multiples, like your Lantern controls and all that kind of stuff. They run multiples of something. So it's for 2, 1 and 1 blue at instant speed. You return target non-land permanents and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent to their owner's hands. So if it's a token and you return it, so say they've got a board full of spirit tokens, say they're playing Mardu or whatever, board full of spirit tokens, you go Echoing Truth, naming, spirit token, bounces all of them back to their hand, and when a token gets bounced, it's dead. So this is a board wipe if they're playing tokens. If they're playing Mardu Pyromancer, a pain in the ass, and yeah, Young Pyromancer is a pain in the ass. It's in a whole lot of decks, and yeah, it's just a really good card. So I'm going to run it in a 2 of. Running a little bit of counter magic in a 2 of Negate, which counters a target non-creature spell for 2, 1 and 1 blue at instant speed. 2 Dispel, which counters an instant spell for 1 blue at instant speed. Sorry, I'll put it up here so you can see it. Again, this is just to cover our ass on the Scapeshift if they're running a lot of counter magic, or even if you're just worried about the counter magic. Or if you're worried about removal, putting this in, catching that lightning bolt, catching whatever kind of fatal pushes, lightning bolts, all that stuff. If you want to try and keep your Hedrons alive, this counter magic that's when it comes in. For Storm and Tron matchups, we're playing Damping Spheres in a 2 of, so it's for 2. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces 1 colorless instead of any other type or amount. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more for each other spell they've cast this turn. So it's hoses Storm and it hoses Tron. Obviously, if the game goes long enough, Tron is still going to get the lands it needs to play some big threats, but hopefully we've milled a shitload of them by then, and yeah, we should hopefully still be able to grind out the game. Only running it in a 2 of. It's worked so far, got helped out in a couple of games, and yeah, the sideboard's been good, but I don't know. It could use tweaking. Let me know what you guys think. Also running a 2 of Surgical Extraction, because we are a mill deck, so we're going to mill these cards. Sometimes they're going to be useful cards. So going up against Jeskai Control, getting off the Glimpse on turn 2 when they haven't got a counterspell up, and then just getting rid of all their Teferis, or getting rid of all their Marus, or like their Pyromancers, or whatever, or their Snapcasters, is so good. I actually consider running more than 2 of in the sideboard. But yeah, at the moment we're running a 2. So this is Phyrexian Black. So for 1 black or pay 2 life, you can choose to target card in a graveyard other than a basic land, and then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for all cards with the same name, and that player, you exile them, and then they shuffle to the library. So this is a catch-all for anything that we've already milled. We can target any one of those things and then go through the deck, hand, library, graveyard, whatever, and piss it off. It's wicked. Such a good card. Not sure what I'd cut. You could probably get rid of the Back to Nature, but in my meta that I'm playing in, Boggles is huge at the moment. Everyone's playing Boggles, and yeah, having Back to Nature against that is just sensational. So yeah, Surgical Extraction is good though. Look it up. Always use it. And the last card I've got, this is something I just recently saw in a Lantern control deck, and it works surprisingly well. Like, I didn't realize, I didn't want to stick ley lines in because we've got no other way to play them if we don't have them in our opening hands. So ley line of Sanctity, which makes you hexproof. So this is like a poor man's alternative to that, which is for 4 Witchbane Orb for 4. It's an artifact that sits on the battlefield, and then when it enters the battlefield, destroy all curses attached to you. Might not be relevant, but the last bit of text is: you have hexproof, which means you can't be targeted by spells or abilities your opponents control, including aura spells. Which means we can't be targeted with lightning bolts, we can't be targeted with mills. We can't like burn, just hoses on them. Anything targeting us to make like Thoughtseize is huge. A lot of this hand hate stuff is huge. Again, we're only running this in a 1 of, so it's not always going to be great, but it's a bit of utility that goes into the deck in the right matchup. Anyway, guys, that is Mill Shift in Modern. This has been another deck tech from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that you see the videos when I release them. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys. Bye.